The fate of the entire galaxy hung in the balance on the volcanic world of Mustafar. A single leap in our timeline ended with Anakin Skywalker burning on the Black Sands and destined to become the cybernetic monster Darth Vader. However, imagine if that moment played out differently. Obi-Wan Kenobi, driven by brotherhood rather than duty, manages to pull his fallen apprentice back from the edge. This is the story of a galaxy where the suit was never built, where Padmé Amidala lived, and where the Chosen One had to face his crimes with his own eyes rather than behind a mask. The lava river roared below them as it painted the sky in violent shades of orange and black. Anakin Skywalker prepared to make his final jump, with eyes burning yellow from Sith corruption. While known history dictated that Obi-Wan severed his limbs, Kenobi hesitates in this reality. He sees the friend he fought beside in the Clone Wars, rather than just a Sith Lord. When Anakin leaps, Obi-Wan refuses to swing his blade, and instead uses a massive surge of the Force to catch Anakin in midair. He slams him onto the cool bank of the river to knock the wind out of him, disarming the Sith and refusing to let the fires of Mustafar claim his brother. Anakin screams in rage, but remains physically whole as a captured prisoner. Obi-Wan drags the unconscious Anakin aboard Padmé's skiff and secures him in the cargo hold with heavy restraints, while C-3PO pilots the ship away from the inferno. Padmé lies on the medical table with her life force flickering. While she originally died of a broken heart, believing Anakin was gone forever, Obi-Wan rushes to her side with a different message. He tells her Anakin is alive and currently in their custody. This news acts as a lifeline. She remains weak and devastated by his betrayal, but she does not let go. Her will to live persists because the object of her love is physically present just meters away. They rendezvous with Bail Organa and Yoda on the asteroid colony of Polis Massa, where the atmosphere is tense. Yoda looks upon the caged Anakin Skywalker with deep sorrow and sees only a dangerous Sith Lord who has already slaughtered younglings. The Grand Master insists that Anakin is too dangerous to be kept alive since the dark side has fully consumed him. Obi-Wan stands between his master and his apprentice to refuse executing a prisoner, arguing that killing a defenseless man is what the Sith would do. Their argument becomes heated until Yoda eventually relents with a grave warning that saving the man might doom the galaxy. They agree to take Anakin into exile with them while stripping him of his connection to the galaxy. Emperor Palpatine waits for his apprentice to return to Coruscant. He feels a disturbance in the Force, indicating Anakin is not in pain, but has simply vanished. Palpatine arrives on Mustafar to find only the remains of the Separatist leaders and realizes his prize has been stolen. Sidious quickly alters the narrative by addressing the Senate with his scarred face. He declares that the Jedi Rebellion has claimed the life of the hero with no fear. Anakin Skywalker is presented as the final martyr of the Republic, who was murdered by Obi-Wan Kenobi. A massive statue of Anakin is commissioned for the Imperial Plaza, while Palpatine seethes in private. He has lost his enforcer, making his plans for galactic domination much harder to execute without Vader's Iron Fist. The Emperor needs a new weapon, without Darth Vader to terrorize systems, so he turns to the Inquisitorius program. The Grand Inquisitor is elevated to Supreme Commander of the Imperial military, despite lacking the raw power of Vader. He cannot choke officers across video screens or crush walkers with his mind. The Imperial military becomes more bureaucratic and relies on overwhelming numbers rather than supernatural fear. Jedi survivors like Cal Kestis and Kanan Jarrus find it slightly easier to evade capture. The Empire remains brutal, but it lacks the personal and unstoppable monster that hunted them in other timelines. The level of fear is greatly reduced. The survivors set up a hidden sanctuary far beyond the Outer Rim, on a forgotten world in wild space. Anakin Skywalker lives in a cell made of ray shields, where he undergoes a violent withdrawal from the potent drug of the dark side. He screams at Obi-Wan while spitting hatred and blaming the Jedi for Padmé's supposed betrayal. Padmé eventually enters the room and stands outside the barrier holding two infants. The sight of Luke and Leia breaks something in him, as his Sith anger collides with the reality of his living family. He falls into a catatonic state of guilt when he remembers the Jedi Temple and the younglings. The realization of his actions crushes him completely rather than freeing him. Years pass in isolation. Luke and Leia grow up in a strange environment on a lush and untamed planet where a lack of central enforcement in the core galaxy breeds chaos. The criminal syndicates grow drastically in power without Vader to hunt down rival Force users. Maul realizes his old rival Sidious is vulnerable and expands his Crimson Dawn operation openly to seize control of key hyperspace lanes. He becomes a third superpower in the galaxy who challenges Imperial authority directly. The Clone Wars may have ended, but a new Shadow War begins as Imperial Star Destroyers constantly skirmish with Crimson Dawn fleets. Palpatine is distracted and forced to chase down criminal empires that Vader would have simply destroyed. The galaxy is messier and far less controlled. Emperor Palpatine refuses to accept defeat. He accelerates his contingency plans without a strong apprentice to inherit the Sith legacy. Palpatine focuses obsessively on Project Necromancer and cloning Force-sensitive bodies. He directs every resource into Mount Tantiss because he needs a vessel. He begins hunting specific targets, including children with high M counts. His fervor exposes his desperation for immortality because he knows his current grip on power is fragile. The Inquisitors shift from Jedi hunters to kidnappers as they scour the galaxy for genetic material to replace the perfect apprentice he lost. 10 years into exile, Anakin is no longer in a cell, but remains trapped by his own guilt. He refuses to pick up a lightsaber and spends his days farming with simple tools to create life where he once took it. His relationship with Obi-Wan is a complex mix of brotherly love and deep tension. Ahsoka Tano eventually changes things when she tracks down the hidden signals from Bail Organa through her Fulcrum network. Her reunion with Anakin is cold because she is horrified by his past actions. She tells him that hiding is selfish while the galaxy burns. Her anger wakes him up to the reality that the Chosen One is hiding in the mud. The Imperial search for high M-count children eventually leads them to the signature of two very powerful twins. An Imperial probe droid crashes on their sanctuary world and sends the signal before they destroy it. Palpatine feels a disturbance he hasn't felt in a decade and knows they are alive. He sends the Grand Inquisitor and his elite purge troopers, followed by a personal visit because he wants his property back. The sky above their peaceful world fills with Star Destroyers to signal the end of their exile. Anakin looks at the lightsaber Obi-Wan has kept safe for him for the first time in years. The weapon feels heavy, yet necessary. Stormtroopers swarm the forests during the chaotic ground battle. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan fight defensively alongside a teenage Luke and Leia. The Grand Inquisitor corners the children and spins his lightsaber with a smirk because he believes them to be untrained refugees. He is mistaken, since they have been trained by the greatest duelists of the Order. The battle shifts when a figure in simple peasant robes steps onto the field. Anakin Skywalker fights with a cold and precise calm, rather than the fury of Vader or the arrogance of his youth. He defeats the Inquisitors with efficiency to protect his family. The Grand Inquisitor faces him and sees the face of the statue in the Imperial Plaza before realizing the lie. The Inquisitors fall as the sky turns black with lightning. Emperor Palpatine descends from his shuttle looking older and more twisted by the dark side. He laughs with delight to see his former apprentice intact. He offers Anakin a choice, to either return to his side and save his children, or watch them die. It is the same choice offered on Mustafar and in the Chancellor's office. Anakin looks at Padme leading the evacuation transport and at Obi-Wan standing ready to die for him. The fear of loss that drove him to the dark side is replaced by the acceptance of sacrifice. He ignites his blue blade to end the conflict rather than to save himself. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka fight against the full power of the Sith. Palpatine moves with incredible speed as a storm of dark energy. He blasts Obi-Wan away and incapacitates Ahsoka until only Anakin remains. Palpatine unleashes a storm of lightning that would have killed Vader instantly by short-circuiting his suit. Anakin absorbs the pain because he is flesh and blood. He pushes through the agony while his robotic hand glows red-hot from the energy. He drives his saber through the Emperor rather than throwing him down a shaft. Anakin takes the full force of the exploding energy as Sidious disintegrates, and the resulting shockwave flattens the forest. Anakin Skywalker survives the battle despite the immense toll on his body. The Empire fractures into warlord states immediately because it lacks a successor. There is no galactic civil war or Death Star since the plans were never prioritized without the dynamic between Tarkin and Vader. Padme emerges from hiding to lead the Provisional Republic. Anakin does not join the Jedi Council, but instead wanders the galaxy as a servant of the Force, seeking to atone for the lives he took during Order 66. He becomes a warning and a protector rather than a public hero. The balance is restored through the difficult process of redemption, rather than death. A single moment of mercy on Mustafar changed everything. This timeline presents a universe where healing was possible instead of a galaxy ruled by fear. The Force eventually found its balance in the light of a second chance, rather than the darkness of a suit. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more alternate timeline theories like this.